The fluorescent lights of the grocery store flickered slightly as 17-year-old Tyler wiped down the conveyor belt at checkout lane 3. It was almost 9 in the evening, and his feet hurt from standing for the past 5 hours. Outside, through the large glass windows, he could see the parking lot starting to empty out as the last few customers loaded their groceries into their cars. Tyler had been working at the store for nearly a year now, ever since his mom lost her second job. Money was tight at home. Really tight. His younger sister needed new shoes, the rent was due next week, and their landlord wasn't the patient type. Tyler's mom worked herself to exhaustion, taking every shift she could get at the diner across town, but it still wasn't enough. That's why Tyler was here, working 25 hours a week while trying to keep his grades up at school. He glanced at the clock. 15 more minutes until closing. His manager, Mr. Rodriguez, was already counting the cash registers at the front. Tyler grabbed the broom and started his closing routine, sweeping up the day's mess of crushed receipts and the occasional dropped grape. That's when he saw it. Just outside the automatic doors, near the cart return area, something was reflecting the parking lot lights. Tyler pushed his broom cart outside to get a closer look. There, sitting on the concrete, was a phone. Not just any phone either. This was one of those expensive models, the kind Tyler had only seen in commercials. The screen was cracked slightly on one corner, but it still looked like it cost more than Tyler made in 2 months. He picked it up carefully, as if it might break in his hands. The screen was locked, showing a background photo of a family at the beach. 2 kids, maybe around his sister's age, building a sandcastle. Someone was probably panicking right now looking for this phone. Tyler knew that feeling. Last year he'd lost his own phone, a beat-up hand-me-down, and it had felt like losing a part of himself. All his contacts, his photos, everything gone but this phone. This phone was worth money. Real money. Tyler stood there in the parking lot holding this device and felt his stomach tighten. He could take it. He could walk to the pawn shop tomorrow and probably get $3, maybe $400 for it. That would cover the rent shortage. His mom wouldn't have to beg their landlord for an extension again. She wouldn't have to see that look of disappointment on the man's face, that look that made her come home and cry in the bathroom where she thought no one could hear. The thought circled in Tyler's mind like a vulture. $400, maybe more. He looked around the parking lot. No one was there. No one would know. He could just slip it into his pocket right now, finish his shift, and tomorrow his family's biggest problem would be solved. Tyler's hand tightened around the phone. Then he thought about his mom. About the way she'd raised him and his sister, even after their dad left. She'd always told them even when things got hard, especially when things got hard, that's when your character shows. Anyone can do the right thing when it's easy, she'd say. But doing right when it costs you something, that's what makes you who you are. Tyler let out a long breath and walked back inside. "Hey, Mr. Rodriguez," he called out. "Someone left their phone outside." His manager looked up from the cash drawer. "Another one?" "Third one this month. Just put it in the lost and found box in the office." Tyler nodded and headed toward the back, but something stopped him. The lost and found box was where things went to die. He'd worked here long enough to know that. Half the stuff in there had been sitting for months. And a phone like this, it would probably disappear before the owner ever came looking for it. "Actually," Tyler said, turning back, "is it okay if I try to contact the owner? Wait and see if someone calls it?" Mr. Rodriguez shrugged. "Suit yourself, kid. But don't stay too late. I'm locking up in 10 minutes whether you're done or not." Tyler sat down on the bench near the customer service desk and stared at the phone. The screen had gone dark, but every few seconds it would light up with a notification. Someone named Jennifer had sent 3 text messages. Someone else had called twice. These people were definitely looking for this phone. He pressed the power button, hoping maybe there was an emergency contact screen or something. The locked screen showed the time, 9:07 p.m., and then he noticed something. There was an emergency call option at the bottom, and right below that, a small button that said Medical ID. Tyler tapped it. A screen popped up with basic information, blood type, allergies, and an emergency contact listed as Michelle Wife. There was a phone number. His heart was pounding now. He could call. He should call. But what if they thought he stole it? What if they didn't believe he just found it? Mr. Rodriguez was shutting off lights in the back of the store. "Time to go, Tyler." Tyler made a decision. He pulled out his own cheap phone and dialed the emergency contact number from the medical ID screen. It rang once, twice, 3 times. Hello? A woman's voice answered, sounding stressed and tired. Hi, my name is Tyler. I work at Miller's Grocery on 5th Street, and I found a phone in our parking lot. The medical ID said to call this number. There was a pause, and then he heard the woman exhale like she'd been holding her breath for hours. Oh, thank God, that's my husband's phone. He's been looking everywhere for it. We've called it a dozen times. Yeah, I saw the missed calls, Tyler said. I can keep it here at the store if you want to pick it up, or... Is there any way you could hold on to it until tomorrow? The woman asked. My husband is actually out of state right now for work. He left this morning and didn't realize he'd lost his phone until he got to the airport. He's flying back tomorrow afternoon. Tyler hesitated. Taking the phone home felt weird, like he was stealing it or something. But leaving it at the store overnight felt risky too. Please, the woman said, and Tyler could hear the genuine worry in her voice. There's important work stuff on that phone and photos of our kids that aren't backed up. I know it's a lot to ask, but you seem like a good person for calling us. Something in her voice made Tyler's decision for him. Okay, he said. I'll hold on to it. Tell your husband he can call me tomorrow at this number when he's back in town. Thank you so much, the woman said, and Tyler could hear her voice crack slightly. Really, thank you. After they hung up, Tyler carefully wrapped the phone in a clean plastic bag from behind the counter and slipped it into his backpack. Mr. Rodriguez was already waiting by the door, keys in hand. Got it all sorted? His manager asked. Yeah, Tyler said. Owner's picking it up tomorrow. As Tyler walked home that night, his backpack felt heavier than usual. Not because of the phone's weight, but because of what it represented. In his bag was the solution to his family's problems. In his bag was the money they desperately needed. In his bag was the easy way out. But Tyler kept walking, his mind already on tomorrow, when he'd return the phone to its owner and go back to figuring out how to make rent some other way. His mom would be proud of him, even if she'd never know how hard this decision really was. He didn't know it yet, but that phone in his backpack was about to change his life in ways he couldn't possibly imagine. Not because of what it was worth, but because of what he'd chosen to do with it. Sometimes the hardest decisions turn out to be the most important ones. Tyler was about to learn that lesson in the most unexpected way possible. Tyler barely slept that night. The phone sat on his desk, still wrapped in the plastic bag, glowing occasionally when notifications came through. Each time it lit up, he'd roll over in bed and stare at it, wondering if he'd made the right choice. His little sister Mia knocked on his door early the next morning. Tyler, Mom says breakfast is ready. He dragged himself out of bed, slipping the phone into his jeans pocket. It felt strange carrying around something so expensive. At breakfast, his mom was already dressed in her diner uniform, gulping down coffee like her life depended on it. You look tired, honey, she said, studying his face. Everything okay? Tyler thought about telling her about the phone, about the decision he'd made, but he didn't want to worry her. Just a long shift yesterday. I'm good. His mom kissed the top of his head before grabbing her purse. Don't forget you have that geometry test today. And Mia, your permission slip for the field trip is on the counter. Don't forget it again. After she left, Mia poured herself cereal and looked at Tyler with those observant 8-year-old eyes that seemed to see everything. You're acting weird. I'm not acting weird. Yes, you are. You keep touching your pocket. Tyler pulled his hand away from his jeans, not realizing he'd been doing it. I'm just holding on to something for someone. It's no big deal. Is it something cool? Maybe. Now eat your breakfast. We've got to leave in 15 minutes. School dragged by slower than usual. Tyler kept checking his cheap phone, waiting for a call from the owner. By lunchtime, he was starting to wonder if maybe the guy had decided not to bother coming for it. Maybe he'd already bought a new phone. Maybe Tyler could actually keep it. No. He shook that thought away immediately. He'd made a promise. Finally, during his last class, his phone buzzed. Unknown number. Tyler asked his teacher if he could step into the hall to take an important call. In the empty corridor, he answered nervously. Hello? Hi, is this Tyler? The voice was deep, professional, but friendly. This is Robert Chen. My wife called you yesterday about my phone. Oh, yeah. Yes, sir. I have it right here. I cannot thank you enough for finding it and holding on to it. I just landed back in town. Would it be possible for me to pick it up from you today? Tyler glanced at the clock on the wall. School ended in 40 minutes, then he had his shift at the store starting at 4. I work at the grocery store where I found it. Miller's on 5th Street. I'll be there from 4 until closing. Perfect. I'll come by around 5 if that works. That works, Tyler said, then added quickly, and sir? Your wife mentioned there were important photos on there. I didn't look at anything, I swear. It stayed locked the whole time. There was a pause, then the man's voice softened. I appreciate that, Tyler, more than you know. I'll see you at 5. The rest of the school day passed in a blur. Tyler rushed through his homework in study hall, grabbed a quick sandwich from the vending machine, and jogged to work. He was there 20 minutes early, which never happened. Mr. Rodriguez raised an eyebrow when Tyler clocked in. You feeling okay? You're never early. Just wanted to make sure I was here when the phone owner shows up. The next hour moved like molasses. Tyler bagged groceries, helped customers carry heavy items to their cars, and checked his watch every 5 minutes. At 5:03 p.m., he was beginning to think the guy wasn't coming. Then he saw the car. It was sleek and black, the kind of car Tyler had only seen in movies. It pulled into a spot near the front, and a man in an expensive-looking coat stepped out. He was probably in his 40s, with glasses and dark hair starting to gray at the temples. He looked exactly like the kind of person who would own that expensive phone. Tyler's heart started pounding. He suddenly felt very aware of his grocery store vest with someone else's name tag on it, because he'd forgotten his own at home, and his worn-out sneakers with the hole near the toe that he'd tried to color in with a Sharpie. The man walked through the automatic doors and looked around. His eyes landed on Tyler. Tyler, that's me, Tyler said, his voice cracking slightly. He cleared his throat and pulled the plastic-wrapped phone from his backpack behind the register. Here you go, sir. Everything should be fine. I didn't try to unlock it or anything. Robert Chen took the phone, carefully unwrapping it like it was something precious. He pressed the power button and the screen lit up. His face relaxed into a smile. It works perfectly, he said, scrolling through what looked like hundreds of notifications. You have no idea what a relief this is. I had meetings scheduled, client contacts, everything on here. He reached into his pocket and pulled out his wallet, counting out bills. Here, he said, holding out what looked like 5 $20 bills. $100. Thank you so much. Tyler stared at the money. $100. That was 2 full shifts at work. That was groceries for a week. That was his little sister's new shoes. His hand actually moved toward the bills before his brain caught up. I can't take that, Tyler heard himself say, and he couldn't believe the words coming out of his mouth. Robert looked surprised. Of course you can. You earned it. You could have easily kept this phone or sold it. Instead, you went out of your way to return it. I was just doing what anyone should do, Tyler said, his voice quiet. His hand was back at his side now, even though every cell in his body was screaming at him to take the money. But most people don't, Robert said gently. Most people wouldn't have called. They would have kept it or turned it into some lost and found where it would sit forever. He studied Tyler for a moment. You're sure? $100 is nothing to sneeze at, especially for a high school kid. Tyler nodded, not trusting himself to speak. If he opened his mouth again, he might change his mind. Robert slowly put the money back in his wallet, but he didn't leave. Instead, he leaned against the counter. Can I ask you something? How old are you? 17. Still in school? Yes, sir. Senior year. And you work here how many hours a week? Tyler wasn't sure where this was going, but he answered anyway. About 25. Sometimes more if they need me. Robert nodded slowly, like he was putting pieces together in his mind. What do you want to do? After graduation, I mean. No one had asked Tyler that question in a long time. Teachers asked, sure, but they asked the whole class, not him specifically, and they certainly didn't seem to care about the answer. I want to work with computers, Tyler admitted, like programming and stuff. Building websites, apps, that kind of thing. I taught myself some basic coding from YouTube videos. For the first time in the conversation, Robert's face lit up. Really, what languages? Just JavaScript and a little Python. Nothing fancy. I use the computers at the school library since we don't have one at home. Robert was quiet for a moment, his expression thoughtful. Then he reached into his coat pocket and pulled out a business card. I run a tech company here in town. We develop software for businesses. This is my card. Tyler took it carefully. The card was thick and elegant with raised lettering. Chen Technologies. Robert Chen, CEO and founder. I'd like to talk with you more, Robert said. Not now, obviously. You're working, but maybe later this week. I'd like to hear more about your interest in coding. Tyler felt like he was in some kind of weird dream. Okay. But why? Robert smiled. Because in the last 24 hours you've shown more integrity than most people I meet in a year. And because someone gave me a chance when I was about your age and I've never forgotten it. I didn't really do anything special, Tyler said, uncomfortable with the attention. I just gave you back your phone. You did more than that, Robert said. You made a choice. Probably a hard choice given that you work 25 hours a week while going to school. You chose to do the right thing even when the easy thing would have benefited you more. That tells me something about who you are. Tyler didn't know what to say. His face felt hot. Robert picked up his phone and typed something quickly. I just sent you a text from my number. Save it, I'm serious about talking more. Maybe Thursday evening? We could grab coffee and you could tell me about these YouTube tutorials you've been watching. Okay, Tyler managed to say. Great. Robert extended his hand and Tyler shook it, probably gripping too hard because he was nervous. Thank you again, Tyler, really. You're a good kid. After Robert left, Tyler stood behind the register in a daze. A customer came up with a cart full of groceries and Tyler scanned items on autopilot, his mind somewhere else entirely. Mr. Rodriguez came by during Tyler's break. That guy seemed happy to get his phone back? Yeah, Tyler said. Really happy. Did he give you a reward? People usually do, he offered, Tyler said carefully. But I didn't take it. His manager gave him a strange look. You know you don't have to be a saint, right? Taking a reward for being honest isn't wrong. Tyler shrugged. It just felt weird, like I'd be getting paid for being a decent person. Mr. Rodriguez shook his head, but he was smiling. Your mom raised you right, kid. Don't lose that. That night, after his shift ended and Tyler was walking home in the dark, he pulled out Robert's business card and stared at it under a streetlight. The card felt important in his hand, though he wasn't sure why. It was just a piece of cardstock with a name and number on it, but something had shifted. Tyler couldn't explain it, but he felt like he'd just stepped through a door he didn't even know was there, all because he'd found a phone and made the choice not to keep it. His phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. This is Robert. Looking forward to Thursday. My treat for coffee. You like coffee? Tyler smiled and typed back. Never really had much coffee, but I'm willing to try. The response came quickly. Good answer. See you Thursday at 6? I'll be there. Tyler slipped both phones into his pockets and kept walking. His feet still hurt from his shift. The rent was still due next week. His sister still needed shoes. Nothing about his situation had actually changed, but somehow everything felt different. Thursday couldn't come fast enough, yet when it finally arrived, Tyler felt like throwing up. He changed his shirt 3 times before school, each time thinking the previous one looked too worn out or too casual or too something. His mom noticed him fussing in front of the bathroom mirror. Hot date? She teased, fixing her hair before her morning shift. It's not a date, Mom, just meeting someone for coffee. Someone I should know about? Tyler hesitated. He'd been debating whether to tell her about the phone situation, about Robert Chen, about any of it. Part of him wanted to keep it to himself in case nothing came of it. The last thing he wanted was to get her hopes up. Remember a few days ago when I found that phone at work? It's the guy who owned it. He wants to buy me coffee to say thanks. His mom's expression softened. That's nice of him, see? Good things do happen to good people. Tyler wanted to believe that, but he'd seen too many times when good things didn't happen. When doing the right thing just meant you ended up with less than you started with. But he smiled for his mom anyway. School was torture. Tyler sat through classes without absorbing a single word. His geometry teacher called on him twice and he had no idea what the question even was. His best friend Andre noticed something was off at lunch. Dude, where's your head at today? You've been spacing out all morning. Just tired, Tyler said, picking at his cafeteria pizza. You're always tired. This is different. You're like nervous or something. Andre knew him too well. They'd been friends since 3rd grade, back when Tyler's dad was still around and things weren't so complicated. I'm meeting someone after work today, the guy whose phone I found. Andre's eyes widened. The expensive phone you were telling me about? The one you almost pawned? I wasn't going to pawn it, Tyler said defensively. You thought about it, though. You said you stood in the parking lot for like 10 minutes thinking about it. Tyler had told Andre everything that night, needing to tell someone about the decision that had kept him awake. Well, I didn't, and now the guy wants to meet up. What for? I don't know. He said he wants to talk about computers and coding stuff. He runs some tech company. Andre leaned back in his chair, impressed. Man, that's actually cool. Maybe he's gonna offer you a job or something. Don't, Tyler said quickly. Don't make it into something it's not. He's just being nice. Probably wants to make sure I feel good about returning his phone so I don't regret it later or something. But even as he said it, Tyler didn't quite believe his own words. There had been something in Robert's tone, something genuine and interested that felt like more than just politeness. The afternoon dragged by. Tyler's shift at the grocery store felt longer than usual, every minute stretching like taffy. He kept glancing at the clock, watching it crawl towards 6. Mr. Rodriguez caught him checking the time for the 10th time in 20 minutes. You got somewhere to be? Meeting someone at 6. The phone guy? Word traveled fast in a small store. Yeah, well go on then. Get out of here at 1:45. I'll cover your register. Really? Mr. Rodriguez waved him off. Go, but you owe me. And tomorrow you're cleaning the bathrooms. Tyler grabbed his backpack and practically ran to the coffee shop 3 blocks away. Robert had texted him the address earlier. It was one of those nice places, not like the donut shop Tyler occasionally went to. This place had leather chairs and soft lighting and a menu with drinks that cost more than Tyler's hourly wage. He arrived 10 minutes early and stood outside, suddenly feeling very out of place. Through the window, he could see people on laptops having quiet conversations, looking like they belonged there. Tyler looked down at his grocery store uniform, wishing he'd had time to change. Tyler! He turned to see Robert walking up, dressed more casually than the first time they'd met. Jeans, a nice sweater, looking like someone's cool uncle. Hi, Tyler managed, his voice sounding strange to his own ears. Thanks for coming. Come on, let's get you some coffee. You ever had a cappuccino? I don't really know what that is. Robert smiled. Perfect. You're about to find out. Inside, the coffee shop smelled like roasted beans and cinnamon. Robert ordered for both of them, casually paying with a card before Tyler could even think about offering. They settled into a corner table with their drinks, and Tyler stared at the foam art on top of his cappuccino, afraid to mess it up by drinking it. So, Robert said, leaning back in his chair, tell me about yourself. What's your story? Tyler took a tiny sip of his drink. It was good, warm and rich in a way that instant coffee never was. There's not much to tell. I'm 17, I go to Jefferson High, I work at Miller's, that's pretty much it. Come on, Robert said gently. There's always more to a person than the basics. What do you like to do? What are you passionate about? No one had asked Tyler about his passions in a long time. His teachers asked about homework. His manager asked about shifts. His mom asked if he was tired or hungry. But passions? That felt like a luxury. I like solving problems, Tyler said slowly, thinking about it. Like in coding. I'll find a tutorial online and try to build something. And when it doesn't work, I have to figure out why. Sometimes I'll spend hours just debugging this one stupid line of code, and when I finally fix it, it feels amazing. Like I actually accomplished something. Robert's eyes lit up. That's exactly what programming is. It's problem solving. The code is just the tool. He pulled out his phone, which Tyler now noticed had a new protective case on it. What kind of projects have you built? Nothing impressive. A calculator app. A simple website for my mom's friend's hair salon, except she never actually used it because she doesn't really understand the internet. A game where you click on falling objects. Kid stuff. That's not kid stuff, Robert said firmly. That's impressive for someone who's self-taught with limited resources. Do you know how many people talk about learning to code but never actually build anything? You're actually doing it. Tyler felt his face get warm. It's just stuff from YouTube tutorials. Anyone could do it, but most people don't. You are. Robert took a sip of his coffee. What's stopping you from doing more with it? Have you thought about college? A coding boot camp? There are programs out there. And there it was, the question that kept Tyler up at night. College costs money, Tyler said simply. My mom works 2 jobs and we still barely make rent. My dad left when I was 12 and he doesn't send anything. I'm not trying to make you feel bad or anything, that's just the reality. After I graduate, I'll probably work full-time somewhere. Maybe community college eventually if I can save up. Robert was quiet for a moment, just listening. Tyler appreciated that he didn't jump in with empty reassurances or uncomfortable pity. My story isn't that different from yours, Robert finally said. My parents came here from Taiwan with almost nothing. My dad worked in a restaurant kitchen. My mom cleaned houses. I wore hand-me-downs until I was 16 and worked every job I could find. I get it, Tyler looked up surprised. Really? Really? When I was 18, I was working at a computer repair shop. Same kind of situation as you. Trying to learn everything I could. Knowing I wanted to work with technology but having no clear path to get there. Robert leaned forward. Then one day a customer came in whose laptop I'd fixed. He owned a small software company. He saw that I'd gone beyond just fixing his hardware problem. I'd optimized his system, cleaned up his code, fixed bugs he didn't even know he had. He offered me an apprenticeship. Minimum wage, but I got to learn from actual developers. That's lucky, Tyler said. It wasn't luck. It was him recognizing potential and choosing to invest in it. And it was me being ready when the opportunity came. Robert pulled something from his bag, a folder. I've been thinking a lot since we met. About that choice you made in the parking lot. About the fact that you're teaching yourself to code on library computers. About the fact that you're working 25 hours a week and still getting good grades. He opened the folder and slid a paper across the table. Tyler looked down at it, trying to make sense of what he was reading. Every year, my company sponsors 2 students to attend an intensive coding boot camp. 6 months part-time, completely free. It covers web development, app development, database management, the works. After the boot camp, we offer paid internships to students who complete the program and show strong potential. Tyler's heart was pounding so hard he could hear it in his ears. What? I want to offer you one of those spots, Robert said. Starting next month. You'd work around your school schedule. 3 evenings a week and Saturday mornings. If you complete it successfully, there's an internship position available next summer. Tyler stared at the paper, reading it over and over, but the words weren't making sense. This couldn't be real. Things like this didn't happen to people like him. I don't understand, Tyler said quietly. Why would you do this? Because 25 years ago someone did it for me, Robert said simply. And I promised myself that when I had the means, I'd do the same for someone else. You reminded me of me, Tyler. The integrity, the hunger to learn, the willingness to work hard. Those are things you can't teach. Tyler's hands were shaking. I can't pay you back. Not for a long time, maybe not ever. I'm not asking you to pay me back. I'm asking you to take this opportunity seriously. Show up, work hard, learn everything you can, and someday when you're in a position to help someone else, you do it. That's the only payment I want. Tyler looked up from the paper, his eyes stinging. This is real? This is actually happening? Robert smiled. It's real. If you want it, if I want it. Tyler's voice cracked. Are you kidding? This is everything. I don't even have words. I'll need you to have your mom sign off on it since you're under 18. The boot camp is through a partner organization we work with. Completely legitimate, I'll give you all the information. And there's no catch, Tyler. No strings attached. You just need to commit to showing up and putting in the work. Tyler thought about his mom working herself to exhaustion, about his little sister who needed so much that they couldn't afford, about lying awake at night trying to figure out how he was going to make a future for himself out of nothing. When do I start? Tyler asked. Robert laughed, a genuine, happy sound. That's what I like to hear. Orientation is 3 weeks from Saturday. I'll email you all the details tonight. They talked for another hour. Robert told him about the boot camp, about what he'd learn, about the projects he'd work on. He talked about his company, about the kind of work they did, about the industry. Tyler soaked up every word like a sponge, asking questions, taking mental notes, hardly believing this conversation was really happening. When they finally left the coffee shop, the sun had set and the streetlights were on. Robert walked Tyler back toward the grocery store where his bike was locked up. Thank you, Tyler said when they got there. I don't know how to express how much this means. You'll show me by succeeding, Robert said. That's all the thanks I need. Tyler rode his bike home faster than he'd ever pedaled before. He burst through the apartment door and found his mom doing dishes in the kitchen. Mom, he called out, breathless from the ride and the emotion and everything. She turned, concerned. What's wrong? Nothing's wrong. Everything's right. Everything's so right. Tyler pulled the folder from his backpack, the paper slightly crumpled from his grip. You need to read this. You need to read this right now. His mom dried her hands and took the paper, her eyes scanning the words. Tyler watched her face change as she read. Watched her eyes get wide, watched her hand come up to cover her mouth. Tyler, she whispered. Is this real? It's real, Mom. I start in 3 weeks. It's a full coding boot camp, completely free. And after that, there's an internship position that pays actual money, like real money. His mom sat down hard on one of their kitchen chairs. Because you returned that phone? I guess so. He said I reminded him of himself when he was my age. Tyler's mom started crying then, really crying, and she pulled him into a hug so tight he could barely breathe. I'm so proud of you, she kept saying. I'm so proud of you. His little sister came out of her room confused. Why is everyone crying? Tyler picked her up, spinning her around even though she was getting too big for that. Because something really good just happened, Mia. Something really, really good. That night, Tyler lay in bed staring at the ceiling, the orientation packet on his desk. In 3 weeks, his life was going to change. Actually change. Not because of luck or chance, but because he'd made one choice in a parking lot. His phone buzzed with a text from Robert. Get some sleep. You've got a lot of work ahead of you, but I believe you're ready for it, Tyler typed back. I won't let you down. I know you won't. Tyler closed his eyes, and for the first time in years, he fell asleep with hope instead of worry keeping him company. The weight of survival was still there. The money problems weren't magically solved, but now there was something else. A path forward. A real chance, all because he'd chosen to do the right thing when it would have been so much easier to do the wrong one. The first night of the coding boot camp, Tyler arrived 30 minutes early. The facility was in a modern office building downtown, with glass walls and sleek furniture that made Tyler feel like he'd stepped into the future. He sat in the lobby, bouncing his knee nervously, watching other students arrive. They looked confident. They had expensive laptops and nice backpacks and the kind of casual ease that came from never having to worry about whether they belonged somewhere. Tyler clutched his borrowed laptop from the school library and tried not to feel like an imposter. You must be Tyler. A woman in her 30s with bright purple hair and a welcoming smile approached him. I'm Jenny. I'll be one of your instructors. Robert told me about you. Tyler stood up quickly, nearly dropping his laptop. Nice to meet you. First time here? You look nervous. Is it that obvious? Jenny laughed. Everyone's nervous their first day. Come on, let's get you set up. The boot camp room was filled with workstations, each with a large monitor and a comfortable chair. There were whiteboards covering entire walls, already filled with code snippets and diagrams that Tyler didn't understand yet. 8 other students were settling in, ranging from what looked like recent high school grads to people in their 30s changing careers. Jenny introduced everyone. There was Kevin, who'd graduated college with an art degree and decided he wanted to switch to tech. Lisa, who'd been a teacher for 5 years and wanted a change. 2 recent high school graduates like Tyler. A few others who worked retail or service jobs and were looking for better opportunities. Before we dive in, Jenny said once everyone was seated, I want to set expectations. This program is intense. You're going to learn in 6 months what typically takes people a year or more to teach themselves. Some nights you're going to go home frustrated. Some days you're going to feel like you'll never understand what we're teaching. That's normal. That's part of the process. Tyler felt his stomach tighten. What if he couldn't keep up? What if he wasn't as good as he thought he was? But, Jenny continued, if you stick with it, if you put in the work, you're going to leave here with real marketable skills. You're going to be able to build things, real things that real people will use. That's the goal. The first few weeks were exactly as hard as Jenny had promised. Tyler would go to school all day, work his shifts at the grocery store, then head to boot camp 3 evenings a week and every Saturday morning. By the time he got home, it was usually after 10. He'd do homework until midnight, sleep for 6 hours, and do it all again. His mom worried. Tyler, you look exhausted. Are you sure this isn't too much? I'm fine, Mom, I can handle it. But there were nights he wasn't sure if that was true. The coding concepts that had seemed straightforward when he was teaching himself suddenly became complex and interconnected in ways he hadn't understood. React, Node.js, APIs, databases, all of it swirling together in his exhausted brain. 2 months in, Tyler hit a wall. They were building a full-stack web application and his wouldn't work. He'd spent 6 hours trying to debug it, checking every line of code, reading documentation until his eyes blurred and nothing helped. It was due the next day. He sat at his desk at 2 a.m, staring at error messages on the screen, feeling like a failure. Maybe everyone had been right. Maybe this was too much. Maybe he should just drop out. except that this kind of opportunity wasn't meant for someone like him. His phone buzzed, a text from Robert. "How's the project going?" Jenny mentioned this week is a tough one. Tyler stared at the message. He could lie, say everything was fine. Or he could be honest, struggling, he typed back. "Can't get my app to work and I've been at it for hours. Starting to think I'm not cut out for this." The response came quickly. "Can I call you?" "It's 2 a.m., I'm aware." "Can I call?" Tyler's phone rang. He answered quietly, not wanting to wake up his mom or sister through the thin walls. "Talk to me," Robert's voice said. "What's happening?" Tyler explained the project, the errors he was getting, the fact that he'd tried everything he could think of and nothing worked. "Send me your code," Robert said. "Email it to me. Now? Right now." Tyler sent over his files, then sat in silence on the phone, listening to the clicking of Robert's keyboard in the background. "Found it," Robert said after maybe 3 minutes. "You've got an asynchronous timing issue. Your front end is trying to fetch data before your back end has finished processing it. See line 47 in your API route? You need to add an await keyword there." Tyler made the change, held his breath, and ran his application. It worked. The data loaded properly. Everything functioned exactly as it was supposed to. "Oh my God," Tyler breathed. "It works. Of course it works. You had it 95% right. You just needed fresh eyes to catch that one thing." Tyler felt tears prick his eyes. He was too tired, too overwhelmed, too everything. "Thank you. I was ready to quit." "No, you weren't," Robert said gently. "You were frustrated, which is different. Tyler, I'm going to tell you something important. Every single developer, no matter how experienced, has nights like this. Nights where nothing works and you feel stupid and you wonder why you chose this career. That feeling doesn't mean you're not good enough. It means you're pushing yourself to learn. It doesn't feel like learning. It feels like drowning, I know. But you're not drowning. You're swimming in the deep end, and that's exactly where you need to be. The shallow end doesn't teach you anything." They talked for another 20 minutes. Robert shared stories from his early days, the mistakes he'd made, the nights he'd wanted to quit. Hearing that someone as successful as Robert had struggled too made Tyler feel less alone. "Get some sleep," Robert finally said. "And Tyler, you're doing better than you think you are. Jenny tells me you're in the top third of your class." "Really?" "Really. You just can't see it because you're too close to it. Trust the process." After they hung up, Tyler climbed into bed. His project was done. He'd survived another week. Tomorrow he'd wake up and do it all again. The boot camp continued. Some days were better than others. Tyler started to find his rhythm, learning to recognize when he needed to ask for help instead of struggling alone for hours. Jenny became a mentor, always available for questions, never making him feel stupid for asking. He grew closer to some of the other students, too. Kevin, the former art major, became a friend. They'd study together sometimes, working through problems and celebrating when something finally clicked. "Dude, you're actually really good at this," Kevin said one Saturday afternoon as they debugged each other's code. "Like you see patterns I don't see." "You're better at design," Tyler said. "Your interfaces always look amazing. That's just aesthetic stuff. You understand how things work under the hood. That's the harder skill." Tyler had never thought of himself as particularly talented at anything. He worked hard, sure, but talent, that was for other people. Meanwhile, his life at the grocery store continued. Mr. Rodriguez had started giving him slightly better shifts, and Tyler was saving every penny he could. Not for himself, but for his family. The boot camp was building toward an internship, and if he got that position, the money would really help. 4 months in, Tyler built something he was genuinely proud of. For his portfolio project, he created a budgeting app designed for families struggling with money, based entirely on his own experiences. It helped track expenses, suggested where to cut costs, and sent reminders about upcoming bills. Simple but functional and useful. He presented it to the class on a Saturday morning. When he finished his demo, Jenny was smiling. "Tyler, that's excellent work. Really excellent. The code is clean, the interface is intuitive, and you clearly built something that solves a real problem. This is exactly the kind of project that impresses employers." Robert had come to watch the presentations. Afterward, he pulled Tyler aside. "That app," he said. "Have you thought about actually launching it? Making it available for people to use? I wouldn't know how to do that. I could show you. Or better yet, we could make it one of your first projects as an intern." Tyler's head snapped up. As an intern? Robert grinned. You didn't think I wasn't paying attention, did you? Jenny keeps me updated on all the students' progress. You've exceeded every expectation, Tyler. The internship is yours if you want it. Starting the week after boot camp ends, are you serious? Dead serious. Paid position, 20 hours a week during the summer, 15 during the school year once you're back at school for senior year. You'd be working on real client projects. Learning from my development team. What do you say? Tyler couldn't speak. He just nodded, and then he was hugging Robert, not even caring that it was probably unprofessional or weird. Robert hugged him back, laughing. You earned this, Robert said. Every bit of it. The last 2 months of boot camp flew by. Tyler learned more than he'd ever thought possible. Database management, cloud computing, mobile app development, all of it clicking into place like pieces of a puzzle. His mom noticed the change in him. He stood taller, smiled more, talked about his future like it was something real instead of a distant fantasy. You're different, she said one morning over breakfast. Happier. I'm building something, Tyler said. I'm actually building a future. Because of one decision I made in a parking lot. Because of who you are, his mom corrected. The phone was just circumstances. Your character is what made the difference. Graduation from the boot camp was a small ceremony, but it felt huge to Tyler. His mom took the morning off work to attend, bringing Mia with her. They sat in the front row as Tyler walked across the little stage to receive his certificate of completion. Robert was there too, presenting certificates to each graduate. When he handed Tyler his, he shook his hand firmly. Proud of you, kid. Now the real work begins. Tyler started his internship the following Monday. Walking into Chen Technologies as an actual employee felt surreal. He had a badge, an assigned workspace, a company email address. He was surrounded by developers with years of experience, and at first, he felt completely out of his depth. But his boot camp training had prepared him well. His first assignment was to fix bugs in an existing client application. Small stuff, things that wouldn't break anything if he messed up, but real work that real people were paying for. His first day, he fixed 3 bugs. His supervisor, a developer named Ray who'd been with the company for 5 years, reviewed his code. Nice work, Ray said. Clean fixes, good comments explaining your changes. You're going to do fine here. Those words meant everything. Tyler fell into a new routine. School in the morning, internship in the afternoon, homework at night. It was still exhausting, but it was a different kind of tired. The good kind. The kind that came from building something meaningful. His first paycheck arrived 2 weeks later. Tyler stared at the direct deposit notification on his phone, at the number that represented more money than he'd ever earned at the grocery store. He showed his mom. She cried, "Baby, I'm so proud of you." "I'm going to help with rent," Tyler said. "And Mia needs a new winter coat. And Mom, you should think about cutting back one of your jobs. You shouldn't have to work yourself to death. Tyler, this is your money. Your future." "You're my future," Tyler said firmly. "You and Mia. I'm not going to make it and leave you both behind. We're in this together." That weekend, Tyler took his family out to dinner. Nothing fancy, just the local diner where his mom worked, but they ordered whatever they wanted without checking prices first. Mia got a milkshake. His mom got the salmon instead of the cheapest thing on the menu. Tyler got a burger and felt like the richest person in the world. 6 months ago, he'd been standing in a parking lot, holding someone else's phone, wondering if he should do the right thing or the easy thing. He'd chosen right, and it had changed everything. But as Robert had reminded him that night on the phone, it wasn't just luck or circumstances. It was Tyler's choice to work hard, to show up, to keep going even when it was difficult. The opportunity had been a gift, but what he'd done with it was all him. Sitting in that diner booth, watching his mom actually relax for once, seeing his sister happy and carefree, Tyler understood something important. Success wasn't just about making money or having a good job. It was about creating a life where the people you loved didn't have to struggle, where hard work actually led somewhere, where doing the right thing wasn't just its own reward but opened doors you never knew existed. He pulled out his phone and sent Robert a text. "Thank you for taking a chance on me. I hope I'm making you proud." The response came a few minutes later. "You already have. Now go enjoy dinner with your family. You earned it." Tyler put his phone away and did exactly that. 2 years had passed since that night in the grocery store parking lot. but Tyler still thought about it sometimes. How one decision made in a moment of doubt had completely altered the trajectory of his life. He was 19 now, a sophomore at the local community college taking computer science classes part-time, still working at Chen Technologies but now as a junior developer with a real salary. Not rich by any means, but comfortable. His family had moved out of their cramped apartment into a small house with an actual yard where Mia could play. His mom had quit one of her jobs and was taking nursing classes, pursuing the dream she'd given up when Tyler's dad left. Tyler sat in his small office at Chen Technologies, reviewing code for a major client project. His workspace had plants now, photos of his family, a coffee mug that said, "I turned coffee into code." The trappings of a life he'd built from nothing. "Tyler, got a minute?" He looked up to see Robert standing in his doorway. Even after 2 years, seeing Robert still made Tyler a little nervous, like he was waiting to wake up and find out this had all been a dream. Of course. "What's up?" Robert came in and sat down, something he rarely did unless it was important. "I wanted to talk to you about something. The scholarship program, the one you went through." "Yeah, we're expanding it, adding 4 more slots next year instead of 2. The company's doing well, and I want to invest more in finding talented kids who just need a chance." Robert leaned forward. "I'd like you to be involved. Help interview candidates, maybe mentor one of them like I mentored you." Tyler felt his chest tighten with emotion. "You want me to mentor someone?" "I think you'd be great at it. You remember what it felt like to be in their shoes. You'd understand their struggles in a way I can't anymore. I'm too far removed from it now. I don't know if I'm qualified." "You're more qualified than you think. You've been where they are. That's the most important qualification." Tyler thought about it, about being 17. Exhausted, scared, standing in that parking lot with a phone that could solve all his problems if he just kept it. About making the harder choice because his mom had taught him that character mattered even when no one was watching. "I'll do it," he said. "I'd be honored." Robert smiled, the same warm smile from that first meeting at the coffee shop. "Good, because I already told the selection committee you'd agreed." Tyler laughed. "Of course you did." After Robert left, Tyler sat at his desk thinking. His life felt full in ways it never had before. Not just financially stable, but purposeful. He was building things that mattered, working with people he respected, helping support his family. But something was still nagging at him. That Saturday, Tyler did something he'd been thinking about for months. He drove to Jefferson High School, his old high school, and walked into the front office. "Can I help you?" the secretary asked. "I'd like to talk to someone about starting an after-school program for teaching coding to students." 20 minutes later, Tyler was sitting with Mrs. Patterson, the same counselor who'd helped him figure out his schedule when he was working so many hours at the grocery store. "Tyler, I heard you were doing well. We're so proud of you." "Thank you, Mrs. Patterson. I want to give back. I want to teach kids coding, especially kids who can't afford those expensive summer camps or private classes. Just a basic introduction. Show them it's possible to learn this stuff even if you don't have money or resources." Mrs. Patterson's face lit up. "That would be wonderful. We've been wanting to expand our tech offerings but don't have the budget for it. If you're volunteering your time..." "I am, once a week, maybe Tuesday evenings. I could teach the basics, help them build simple projects, show them what's possible." They worked out the details. Starting next month, Tyler would run a free coding club every Tuesday evening from 6 to 8. Mrs. Patterson would promote it, especially to students who she knew were struggling financially or didn't have computers at home. Tyler's first class had 12 students. They sat in the computer lab, a mix of ages and backgrounds, all looking at him with various degrees of interest and skepticism. Tyler remembered being in their seats, wondering if any of this computer stuff was really going to matter in his life. "Hi, everyone. I'm Tyler. I graduated from here 2 years ago." He pointed at himself, wearing jeans and a hoodie, probably looking not that much older than some of them. "I'm not a teacher. I'm a developer at a tech company downtown, and I'm here because someone gave me a chance when I really needed it, and I want to do the same for you." He told them his story, not all of it, but enough, about teaching himself to code from YouTube videos, about working at the grocery store, about the boot camp and the internship and how his life had changed because someone believed in him. "I'm not promising that learning to code will magically fix everything," Tyler said, "but I am promising that if you put in the work, if you actually show up and try, I'll teach you real skills that could actually matter for your future." A girl in the front row raised her hand. She looked maybe 15 with tired eyes that Tyler recognized. Is it really free? Like completely free? No catch? Completely free, no catch. Just show up and be willing to learn. Over the next few months, Tyler watched his students grow. Some dropped out after a few weeks, realizing it wasn't for them, and that was okay. But a core group of 7 stuck with it, coming every Tuesday, asking questions, building projects, slowly getting better. One student in particular reminded Tyler of himself. Danny was a junior, working part-time at a fast food place, living with his grandma because his parents weren't in the picture. He'd stay after class sometimes, asking extra questions, working on projects beyond what Tyler assigned. You're really good at this, Tyler told him one evening after everyone else had left. Danny shrugged, uncomfortable with the compliment. I just like it. It makes sense to me in a way school doesn't. Have you thought about what you want to do after graduation? Work, probably. Maybe save up for community college eventually. Tyler heard his own voice from 2 years ago in Danny's words. The same resignation to a limited future. The same lack of hope that things could be different. What if I told you about a program that could teach you professional-level coding skills for free, with a possible paid internship after? Danny looked skeptical. Nothing's free. This is. I went through it myself. It's how I got my job. He told Danny about Robert's scholarship program, about how applications were opening up next month. Danny listened with growing interest, and Tyler saw something flicker in his eyes. Hope, maybe. The same hope Tyler had felt sitting in that coffee shop. You really think I could do it? Danny asked quietly. I know you could. You're already doing it. You just need the opportunity. That night, Tyler drove home thinking about circles, how his life had come full circle in a way. From being the struggling student to being the one offering help, how Robert had invested in him. And now Tyler was investing in Danny. How kindness and opportunity could ripple outward in ways you never anticipated. He texted Robert. I think I found our next scholarship recipient. Kid named Danny. Reminds me of me 2 years ago. Robert responded quickly. Bring him by the office. I'd like to meet him. 3 weeks later, Danny walked out of that meeting with Robert with the same dazed, hopeful expression Tyler must have had. He was in. Starting the boot camp in 2 months, thank you, Danny said to Tyler, his voice cracking. You don't know what this means. I do know, Tyler said, because I've been exactly where you are. At Chen Technologies, Tyler continued to grow as a developer. He was leading small projects now, working directly with clients, earning respect from the senior developers. Ray, his old supervisor, had become a good friend. You know, Robert's been talking about making you a full developer next year? Ray mentioned one day over lunch. Not junior anymore. Full position with salary bump and everything. Tyler almost choked on his sandwich. Really? You've earned it, man. You're good at this. You pick things up fast, your code is solid, and clients actually like working with you. That's rare. That evening, Tyler called his mom with the news. She screamed so loud he had to hold the phone away from his ear. My baby is doing so well, she kept saying. I'm so proud of you. How are your nursing classes going? Tyler asked. Really good. I got an A on my last exam. Professor said I'm a natural at patient care. Tyler smiled. His mom was flourishing now that she wasn't working herself to death. She'd lost that permanent tiredness in her eyes, that defeated slump in her shoulders. She looked younger, happier, alive. We did it, Mom, Tyler said. We actually made it. No, baby, you did it. You made the choice to be honest, to work hard, to never give up. This is all you. But Tyler knew better. It was all of them. His mom, who taught him integrity. Robert, who saw potential and invested in it. Jenny, who pushed him to be better. His own willingness to work hard and keep going when things got difficult. It was a web of support and choices and opportunities all coming together. On the 2-year anniversary of finding that phone, Tyler did something impulsive. He went back to the grocery store where he used to work. Mr. Rodriguez was still there, looking a little older, but the same kind eyes. Tyler, long time no see. How's the fancy tech job? They caught up for a while and Tyler told him everything. About the boot camp, the internship, becoming a developer, teaching at his old high school. I knew you'd do something special, Mr. Rodriguez said. You were too smart to be bagging groceries forever. I learned a lot here, though. About hard work. About showing up even when you're tired, about treating people with respect. That all mattered. After leaving the store, Tyler walked through the parking lot. The same parking lot where everything had started. He stood near the cart return area, the exact spot where he'd found the phone, and just thought about the journey. What if he'd kept it? What if he'd sold it? His family would have made rent that month, sure, but then what? He'd still be in the same cycle of barely surviving, never getting ahead, watching opportunities pass him by because he couldn't afford to take them. Instead, one choice to do the right thing had opened a door. And walking through that door had required more hard work than he'd known he was capable of, but it had been worth it. His phone buzzed. A message from Danny. "Just finished my first week of boot camp. This is so hard but so cool. Thanks for believing in me," Tyler typed back. "You've got this. And I'm here if you need help. Anytime." Another message came through, this time from Robert. "Company meeting next month. I want you to present the mentorship program expansion. You're the face of what this program can do." Tyler looked up at the evening sky, at the store where he'd once worked exhausted shift after exhausted shift, at the parking lot where his life had changed. He thought about 17-year-old him standing here with that phone, scared and tempted and trying to do the right thing even though it hurt. If he could go back and talk to that version of himself, he'd say, "I know you're tired. I know it's hard. I know keeping this phone would solve immediate problems. But trust me, choose integrity. Choose the harder right over the easier wrong, because this moment matters more than you can possibly understand right now." He'd tell him that doing the right thing doesn't always get rewarded immediately. Sometimes it takes time. Sometimes the rewards come in ways you never expected. But integrity compounds. Every good choice makes the next good choice a little easier. Every time you prove to yourself that you're the kind of person who does right, even when it costs you, you build something inside yourself that no one can take away. 2 years ago, Tyler had been a broke teenager returning a lost phone. Now he was a developer, a mentor, a son who could actually help his family, a person building something meaningful with his life. The phone had been the catalyst, but the real story was about who Tyler chose to be in that moment, and every moment after. He walked back to his car, his own car that he'd saved up for and bought himself, and drove home to the house his family could now afford. Tomorrow he'd go to work at a job he loved, teach his coding class to students who reminded him of himself, continue building a life that once seemed impossible. All because standing in this parking lot 2 years ago, a tired 17-year-old kid decided that integrity mattered more than convenience. That who you are when no one's watching defines who you become when everyone is. Tyler had learned that the most important code you write isn't in a computer. It's in how you live your life. And his code, his character, had been solid from the start. The opportunity just gave him a chance to execute it. As he drove away from the grocery store, Tyler smiled. The cycle was complete, but also just beginning. Danny would succeed, would help others, would pass it forward, and maybe one of Tyler's other students would do the same, or maybe someone who'd never meet Tyler would benefit from something Danny built.